Good morning, people. Well, I read through the comments on here. I try to do it daily, guys, and I really try to touch on what you all kind of want. I don't know what the masses on YouTube want, but I read through your comments. So, people want to know my opinions on certain brands, and I guess we'll just kick it out of the gate with Rockford fosgate. Let's start there. Fosgate has always been a great company. They have always made really, really high quality stuff. God, I remember like the Punch 200 that had the end caps that were just rounded off like this. That thing did like 800 watts, and I think it did like a whole lot more dynamic. I can't remember exactly. Big D Wiz, I watched one of his videos on it and I was blown away. I knew they put out power, but I just didn't know they put out that much. So Fosgate's always been a really high quality brand. So has Kicker, believe it or not. I know a lot of you guys hate Kicker. You just don't know, man. Back when car audio first started, Stillwater Designs, Kicker, they were Stillwater Designs back then. And Kicker was the name of a truck box they had with like the passive radiator in it. But car audio, Kicker did a whole lot for car audio, and you guys just don't give them no credit. And it's really kind of sad because we are where we're at today with shit like this because of Kicker. Their amps have always been phenomenal, except for like their cheap impulse line, but they were even decent. But the subwoofer game started kind of with Kicker, I mean, they kind of were the company that first went above and beyond to get its bass in a car. And for that, I'll always love Kicker. Now, here's the downfall with brands like JL, Kicker, which JL is another great brand, but the two icons that helped start all this was Rockford Fosgate and Kicker. JL, Kicker, Rockford, they're still around, but they kind of dropped the ball 15 years ago and just never picked it up. When you have companies like DC Audio that stepped in the scene, Sundown Audio, DD came in and was up in their game hardcore, FI, when all these companies came on the scene, they knocked Kicker and Rockford and JL down by making subwoofers with like huge motors, tons of motor force, bigger voice coils, and high X-Max. That's where the things change, and we started playing a lot of lows and getting the hair tricks out there and everything. And sadly, the icons of the time that I grew up with, they dropped the ball. I don't know if they didn't know what to do, but it's like all these other companies pop up, and they're small companies time. Like Jacob, he had to start out small at Sundown. Rusty, small with DC Audio. I don't know the owner's name of DD, but I know that they kind of started small and built a hell of a rep for themselves in like the early 2000s. So these companies just kind of come in small, and I guess these giants thought like, oh, they ain't got to do nothing. And before long, when people realized they could hair trick with subwoofers, the game changed and the giants died. And that's just my personal opinion, how I see it all happening. Because, now when you think of big badass subwoofers and amplifiers to do hair tricks and demos and all that, you no longer think of Rockford, or you don't think of JL or Kicker. Although Kicker is coming out with new lines that's more geared to that. So they're trying to pick the ball back up and make a play with it. But that's my opinion on those three companies that were once the icons in the industry. I mean, they still make stuff. In my opinion, it's overpriced. It is high quality, but for what you're getting, it's overpriced when there's so many other companies out there that have the same quality shit at a way lower price. So there's that. DC Audio. I remember years ago, God, it was probably like 2006, I think. I was a member of car audio forums, and Rusty Flowers, you know, he was in there all the time. He was a heavy competitor back then. I think he had the yellow van, and he was in the forums doing the legwork, you know, talking to all the guys that competed car audio, because at the time he was just a competitor himself. But he was always posting in car audio forum and everything when he started DC, you know, and this was like the very beginning. I remember back into that when that was going on. And I remember Sundown was a brand already. They had products out there, but they were a small brand at that time. And at the time, Jacob was doing the same thing. You know, he was a member of the car audio forum, posting and seeing, you know, I guess they were doing their legwork, man, seeing what people really wanted. So both brands, phenomenal. And you see badass builds with both of those brands at all the shows I go to. They're there. You know, I have a lot of friends that run DC Audio. My buddy Billy runs DC amps. So my cousin Cantil runs DC level 6 subs in like all of her builds. So Sundown DC, great quality. You know, the people that own the companies, they've done their legwork. They're base heads. They know what people want. They're doing research. They're building subs according to that. Somebody asked what I think about Orion. Now, Orion, they came on the scene after like fosgate, Kicker. They popped into the car audio scene back in the 80s. And they've always had quality stuff. And I don't know what happened and where they kind of died off. I mean, they're still around. There's still a lot of Orion builds, but they're not where they used to be. I have read good and bad about their products that they're making now. I honestly haven't ran any of it, so I don't know. I don't really know that many people that have an Orion build. I do know they're like red amplifiers they have are pretty badass. I think they're temperamental and they'll blow at the drop of a hat, but other than that, I know they're a good build amp. I think they're just like overpowering the shit out of them, but and I think they did something cool with their subwoofers by having the you can just unbolt the whole damn cone, coil, spiders, everything, and drop another one in and bolt it in. So if you're to comp and blow a woofer and you got recones with you, you can literally change one out in like 30 minutes and be right back in the lanes. But other than that, I don't know a whole lot about the new Orion. It's another big brand. FI, you know, back in the forum days, man, that's another company that was really out there doing their work. FI as a whole, I kind of like FI. I have FI subs in my wife's car. I hate the way they smell. A lot of times when you give them some power, I don't think the voice coils are getting bad. I just think when they heat up, the epoxy they're using, it really stinks. And that's one of the things I don't really like about some brands of subwoofers. You know, even if you're not clipping them, you're just giving them good power, they'll get smelly. Because like my buddy Billy's build, there's no way that he's given those 21s enough power to clip them. Everything's set super clean in it. Turned actually down on the low side. He wouldn't even be demoing where he set the amplifiers at clean. And they just start smelling weird. I don't like stinky subs. But a downfall with FI is when you order something, you know, you're waiting 6 months to get it. And that's a problem my buddy Billy run into now. You know, he blew a woofer at Sundown. On like month and a half old woofers, he blew a 21. And now we got upcoming shows, like big shows for us in this area. Is the south of the border is having the world finals for NSPL. We love that show. We like going there and demoing. And it's like a month and a couple weeks out. Will Billy have a recon by then? I mean, we're pulling every string, getting a hold of every connection we have to try to get him a recon to fix the woofer by then. It's going to happen. We don't know. just because it's a small company, and I'm grateful that a small company's out there surviving, but they're so far behind on orders. I mean, I think it's like a 3 or 4 employees there, and they build the motors, bolt them to the basket, and build all the subs by hand, and that's great. They charge a great price for them. They're really low on their price compared to other brands, but they really, it's just terrible getting product from them. That's why at one point I really wanted to run FI, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not waiting like 6 months to a year on subs, and recones is even worse. You blow a woofer, you should be able to go to a website, order a recone, they throw it in the box, send it to you. They should have them sitting there ready to go, and it ain't that way. You blow a woofer, it's like, okay, we're about 4 months out of playing again. Can't do it. And there's a lot of other great brands out there. There's been some giants that I grew up with that fell, like MTX. Just gone. Hifonics. Hifonics really didn't, they fell, they didn't go away. They're still making stuff, but they went from a once really good brand, and they're just like cheap Chinese knockoff garbage. Same with Soundstream. Back in the day, man, they were like a real big competitor, and everybody wanted to run their stuff, and they just kind of fell into nothing. So it's sad that a lot of the big brands that we all looked up to when I was younger, and people my age looked up to, have just turned into like Chinese crap. And guys, I don't even want to touch on Scar. I know a lot of you guys love Scar. It's okay. After talking with a lot of people in this industry and realizing what the owner of Scar did and what he does, I could never respect that. He does some really dirty stuff, and we're gonna leave it at that. But a lot of people run it. I don't hate on what you run. I don't care. It is what it is. There's better brands out there for the money if you do your research. That's pretty much like the same product. Like, I did really good in here with American bases, and I know they were a cheap Chinese sub. I did phenomenal with them, better than I would have ever done with Scar, probably. They couldn't take no power. The power that it took me to get them to a 160 killed them. But I think I could demo for about 10 seconds before them subs got really stinky. And I went to a show and was giving back-to-back demos, and they started smoking. I gave 2 more demos. I looked back, and there was like an explosion. Sparks shot everywhere. It was awesome. Scared the poor girl to death that was over here getting a hair trick. That was a fun day. It sucked that I had a couple months with no music after that, but it was worth it. But anyway, guys, be happy with what you run. That's my opinion on some of the big companies. There's more companies out there that I'm forgetting to mention, like Def Bunch, man. They came on the scene, and they're killing it. Their products are awesome. I don't have anything bad at all to say about like Def Bunch. Even their Avatar, which is like their cheaper Chinese line, they're kicking ass. I've seen impressive builds with them. So do your research before you buy subs, and I'm going to leave you with this. If you're planning on spending $300 or more on a subwoofer, pick a company that has support for you. Like, I'm going to mention Scar again because they have no support for you. They don't give a crap. You're stuck with that $300 woofer. You got to send it to Corey Dean or somebody and be like, please build me a recone. That's another reason that I wouldn't run that brand, because if I ran Scar, I'd probably want the VFXs. But you can't get a recone for it. They don't offer recones. So if you're going to spend $300 or more, pick a company that offers the support and has recones readily available for you. It's like if you run Sundown or DC or Def Bonts, you can just jump online and order a recone and watch a YouTube video on how to put a recone in if you don't know how, and you're back bumping after the glue dries. And that's a big thing, When you run a lot of these cheap subwoofers, you can't get a recone. And that'd be a hard pass for me if you're going to drop money on good subs. Now, if you're looking to buy subs in that $200 price range, who cares? You blow one, buy another one, slap in the box, and you're good to go, because a good recone is going to cost you $150. By the time you pay shipping, you're out $180. If you're running $200 subs, it don't matter. So, yeah, pull the sub out, throw it away, drop another sub in, and you're good to go. But if you're going to crash to that $300 mark, get a sub from a company that offers support, you know, where you can jump on their website, order your recone, it show up in the mail 3 days later, and you glue it in. On the 4th day the glue's dry, you got that bad boy bolted in there and you're bumping. That's all for today. I'm sorry this is a long rambling video, but people ask me these questions, and that's my 2 cents on the whole subject. Everybody, have a great day. Peace out, and as always, base on, brothers.